Hi and welcome to pmplounge.com. This is Lounge Fever, wherein we tackle your burning questions. And question that we received today was related to change management, and we have actually covered change management in quite a bit of depth. I'll link to the entire playlist in the description. Go over it, learn a thing or two about change management, and you'll be able to figure out how to deal with change. Now, people deal with change very differently, right? So you don't have to deal differently with change. You just have to follow the right project management process of change, right? How you tackle change, just have to follow that. You don't have to deal with it differently like people usually do, right? So let's get started and let's try to understand what you need to do when you get a change request in your project. Now, how to deal with change requests. So let's say you are the project manager, you are running your project, and there's a change request that comes up. How are you going to deal with change request? What is the order? What's the steps that you need to take? All right. So there are four steps that you need to take. Number one is to evaluate the change. So let's say you receive a change request. You are going to evaluate that change request. You are going to understand what does this change request impact. Does it impact the schedule of the project? Does it impact the cost of the project? Is this a change related to resources, right? Let's say a resource is going out on an unplanned vacation, right? He's going out on an unplanned leave for 2 weeks. How do you tackle that change, right? So the first thing that you need to do is to evaluate the change request that you receive. How is that change going to impact your project, right? So that is the first thing that you do when you encounter a change request in your project. Second action that you need to take is to assess the alternate options, right? So let's say the resource that was going out for 2 weeks, right? And it was an unplanned leave that he's taking for 2 weeks. He's out. So what are the alternate options? Can there be some other resource that can be pulled in and he or she would be able to, accomplish the job just as well? Will that be something that you can plan on as an alternate option and move ahead, right? So that's how you kind of assess what the alternate options are when a change comes up, right? So that's the second step in how you deal with change requests. The first is you evaluate how it impacts your project. What are the constraints that is it is impacting? And second is you assess the alternate options that you have. Now, the third point is CCB approval needs to be sought, right? So you need CCB approval to execute the change. Let's say you have evaluated the change, you've understood the change in details, you have all that you need to know about that change request. Once you have that, you look for the alternate options, right? What are the alternate options? Once you have the assessment of the alternate options, you know enough about the change request that you can take it to the CCB and seek the approval of the CCB, right? So that's the third step in how you handle changes, right? So you go to the CCB, be it a meeting, be it a virtual meeting, whatever it is, you you go to the CCB, the change control board that is. And if you're wondering what change control board is, like I said, I'll link to the playlist about change management in the description. Go over that. You'll learn what change control board is, what CCB is, right? So the third step in how you deal with change requests is once you have done your evaluation, once you have assessed the alternate options, the third thing to do is to go in the CCB meeting, the change control board meeting, and seek their approval to execute the change. Now, in the CCB meeting, right? This is where the next step is dependent on. If the CCB approves the change, then the next step is to execute the change request, right? you execute the change request, you do what is required, right? Whatever the change is, you execute it, right? So if you do that, you do the fourth step only if the change request is approved by the CCB. If it is not approved by the CCB, then you cannot execute that change. So these are the four steps that you need to take when you're handling changes, when you receive a change request and you are the project manager. The thing with PMP exam is you might get certain questions, a one or two question wherein they ask you that you've received the change. What's the first thing you should do as a project manager? The first thing is not to seek CCB approval. The first thing is to evaluate that change, right? If you get a question in the PMP exam that says you're the project manager, you receive the change request and you have evaluated it, what's the next step? The next step is not to go and seek CCB approval. The next step is to look for alternate options, right? Do an assessment of alternate options, and only after that you are ready to go to the CCB and seek their approval. So that's all that we had in this video. Hope you learned the order of the steps that you need to take as a project manager when you receive a change request. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, and check us out on our social media, facebook.com/pmplounge and twitter.com/pmplounge. And as always, do check out the website pmplounge.com, your number one free resource for PMP certification and project management industry information. Thank you.